So, hello guys, today we are diving into a legendary game between Anatoly Karpov and Vishwanathan Anand from the 1991 candidates match. This game is packed with brilliant tactics, insane sacrifices, and some serious mind games, so make sure to watch till the end. I am your host Bison. So Karpov starts the game with d4, d5 by Anand, and now comes c4, Queen's Gambit. Here Black can takes on c4 and goes for Queen's Gambit accepted, but Vishy opts for Slav defense. Now both sides develops their knight and knight to c3, creating pressure on the d5 pawn, and Anand just played e6, strengthening this pawn chain. This is called semi-Slav defense. Now comes e3, opening the diagonal for this light square bishop. Knight at b goes to d7, keeping an eye on the e5 square, and after this, Karpov develops his queen on c2, eyeing on the h7 diagonal. This is called Stall's variation. And after this, Anand develops his dark square bishop on d6, eyeing on this h2 square, bishop to e2. Here our Karpov is preparing for castle, and after this both sides simply castled and some captures happens, and queen to e7 by Anand, preparing for the move e5, a3 by Karpov, covering the b4 square so that black can't enter, and after this Vishy pushed his e-pawn further. Maybe he wants to push this pawn further, targeting the knight, and obviously white can't takes it, otherwise this will activate the black's knight. Hence he played h3, covering this g4 square, and bishop to c7, defending the d6 square so that white can't enter. Okay, bishop goes back on a2. Maybe he didn't like this move, and after this h6, covering the g5 square, knight to h4, and you can see the next destination of the knight. Okay, so now Vishy brings his rook on e file, knight to f5 by Karpov, hitting the queen. Queen goes back on f8, and in this position Karpov finds a great move, knight to b5, pinning the c6 pawn, and you can't take, otherwise you will lose your bishop. Hence Vishy just moves back his bishop on b8, and in this position Karpov finds a crazy move, which is bishop to d2, sacrificing the knight. And if black captured on b5, then now pause the video and try to find the winning move for white, which white can play in this position. Yes, you are right. The move is bishop to b4, and this queen is almost trapped. Yeah, black can play some lines like knight to c5, but this is of no use because simply bishop takes c5. If black captured the knight, then queen takes f5, bishop to d6, then after d takes e5, bishop takes c5, e takes f6, and yeah, you can see that white is a pawn up and white pieces are more active. Now look at the black queen. It's completely trapped in the corner, and in the next move white will capture on g7, further compromising black king's safety. And this position is completely winning for white. So that's why after this move bishop to d2, here Anand finds a great move, which is a5, stopping the move bishop to b4, and now this knight is under attack. But Karpov firstly takes on e5, attacking the knight, and after bishop takes e5, he attacks this bishop by playing f4. Okay, and after bishop goes back on b8, now finally he brings back his knight on c3. But in this position Vishy does a mistake by playing rook to d8. It's a mistake because black should have considered playing knight to c5, centralizing the piece, and you can see that this knight is currently blocking the light square bishop route, which is restricting the black development. He might play this move because he wants to place his knight on c5, which attacks the bishop. Hence Karpov brings back his bishop on e1, rerouting it towards the more active squares like h4. where it can create threats and put pressure on the white position. And after Vishy brings back his knight on h7, he plans to place his another knight on f6, which clear the path for the light square bishop, allowing it to become more active and flexible. Now Karpov placed his bishop on h4, hitting the rook. Here black blocks it with the knight, and after this Karpov made a huge mistake by playing rook at a goes to d1, offering the rook exchange. This is a mistake because after rook takes d1, you can see that now black pieces become activated and the game will be completely equal. So in this position, the better move for white is not to play rook at a goes to d1, it is knight to d4, centralizing the knight, and if black tries to attack the knight by bishop to a7, then white can simply defend it by the rook, and if he captured on d4, then simply e takes d4. Now look at this position. White is creating immense pressure on the black. The dark square bishop pins the knight while the queen continue to apply the pressure. In the future, white can play f5, restricting the light square bishop mobility, and clearly this position is much better for white. Okay, so in the actual game, after the move rook takes d1, in this position, it's very important for black to capture the knight on f5. Otherwise, so that it can create immense pressure on the black. But instead, Vishy blunders and played bishop to e6, because after this he takes on e6, f takes e6, and now Karpov played queen to b3, attacking the e6 and b7 pawn. But guys, wait. After the move f takes e6, here Karpov missed something crazy. Here in this position, white can play this crazy move knight takes h6, sacrificing the knight because it is forced for black to capture this knight. Suppose if black didn't capture this and he just simply moves his king on h8, then in this position, now don't pause the video because you can't find this. The move is rook to d8. What a move! That's a very crazy move, because if you takes, then knight to f7 will be a fork and you have to lose your queen. And if black tries to defend his queen by knight to e8, then now in this position white can play queen to g6, and if g takes h6, then comes rook takes e8 and black has to lose his queen. Hence in this position, after knight takes h6, suppose if he captured on h6, then now white can play queen to g6 check, and if queen to g7, then you can see that white will play rook to d8 check. And if king moves on h8, now again pause the video and try to find the crushing move which white can play in this position. The move is knight to e4, and if black captured the knight, then now comes rook to d7, creating a checkmate threat, and if black tries to defend it by queen to g8, then now white can grab this knight, and you can see that here white is threatening to play queen to your d4 check, and black has to lose his queen in the next move. What an amazing variation. In the actual game, after the move queen to b3, here comes queen to e8, defending the e6 pawn. Here white can capture the b7 pawn, but in this position, Karpov finds a god level move which is knight takes g7, and obviously you can't capture this knight, otherwise black will lose his rook by this check and bye bye. Hence he played queen to f7, and after this white takes the e6 pawn, bishop to a7, targeting the e3 pawn, but this is of no use because simply bishop to f2, rook to e8, here attacking the knight, but simply knight to d4, and after this Anand trades the queen hoping that he can survive, But finally, after rook takes e3, the final move by Karpov is knight takes a5 and Vishy resigned. What an amazing game by Karpov. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. Hit that subscribe button because it motivates me a lot. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.